Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Jannu tribe. And we are here with our heiress to the Seers of the Tidepool line, which is one of our many branching branches of the Jannu family tree. And I have a really wonderful twist to their story that one of you guys actually gave me the idea for yesterday. So you guys know for many generations now we have had the Seer of the Tidepool kind of be the one in charge of sitting by the tide pool with beautiful red antlers, no pattern skin, and trying to kind of scry into the water and get an idea of how to take care of the tribe, if they should be sending tribe members off to explore inside the island or explore in the ocean, if they should be having more children or focusing on the berries. For quite some time now, the Seer of the Tidepool just tends to be one of the main creatures who sort of has the control and the political power, you might say, among our tribe. And right now, the heiress is Isila. Oh my gosh, what a name. And then her daughter over here, Lamela, is going to be the one after her. They have the traditional look, since our creatures tend to veer on appearances right now that kind of help determine which one is going to inherit what position. But they have the traditional look of no pattern with the red antlers and green eyes. Purple eyes, I think, was the original Seer's coloring. And they're in charge of watching over the little tide pools that we have all over the island. And just like I said, trying to sort of see into the past or the future and just watching the signs, the way the clams move or the water bunnies flow, and trying to determine how to take care of the tribe. Well, yesterday someone suggested, wouldn't it be really cool if these pieces of antler, the red antlers, kind of were reflective of coral? And that totally clicked with me because this color is so beautiful and it's very rich, and I actually have a real life piece of coral that reminds me of this exact color of these antlers. And I just loved that idea that the tide pool seers are the ones who go around and they might have little bits of coral kind of like looped around their antlers. They might have little shells and little bits of seaweed that they just sort of elegantly decorate their antlers with. And I think that's so much fun, and it makes so much sense because they're going to be going up and down the beach all the time, collecting up shells and collecting up all of the different food they have here. And I'm not exactly sure how the Jannu family will really be successful from patrolling the lines, but I think we definitely have one family branch that is going to focus almost entirely on just what you can find from the tide pools and from the berries and from the trees. So I'm going to say that Isila has really been given signs that she thinks it's very important to focus on gathering up clam shells and having some clam pickers and clam gatherers be along the different beach spots. But also she thinks it's very important to go ahead and start exploring inward and taking over the tree areas. So what does that mean? It means that she's suddenly very, very interested, and she thinks that she has been given a sign from the tide pools, especially with all of the clamshells that have shown up, that it is super important to have cracking skill, a cracking ability be passed on in the family. So she may actually change who is going to be her heiress, because I think that getting that cracking skill in there is going to be one of the most important things we can do with this branch of the family tree. The cracking skill, especially if we have nimble fingers, so then we definitely have collecting with it as well, would also be super useful, because then we can always end up with these clams. So many times lately we run into creatures, like we had so many of our creatures over here last time who kept finding tons of clams, but we couldn't do anything about it. So we want to have the cracking skill so we can eat all of the clams, and so we can start collecting up from this tree, because we really have wasted our trees as resources. We've had them for so long, but we haven't been gathering any of the nuts. Look at that, there's so many nuts. We're just like, we're nut oblivious right now. They don't know what to do with the nuts because nobody has, like, Anna just moved over here and she has cracking skill. But Masiri, who is better at fishing, she's just been standing here kind of exploring the area. But we haven't been gathering these nuts. That's a waste of food. And so I think that waste of food has finally been given as a sign to Isila, and she knows that she needs to try to encourage the cracking ability as the trait that you really want to see among the no pattern and antler traits, of course, in her branch of the family tree. But we're also starting to get to the point where we're going to start breaking the family tree apart a little bit. As you guys know, I do want to have my special orca children. I do want to start focusing away from having like the spiny body and more to having underwater breathing, and really start exploring for all sorts of different food with our orca family. I want to be able to get the panda pattern going, and I want to have our orcas come back. I miss Orca. Do you guys remember Orca with 2 A's? She was one of our very first underwater creatures, and she just totally blew my mind. So I want to get some mermaid orcas in here as well. And I want to start exploring the deep ocean, which I really haven't done before. And we just did that last time. And a lot of you guys really helped by explaining you want to go where the seaweed is, because the seaweed will be where the fish are. So for the very first time, after generations, almost 10 hours of the Jannu tribe, I just had it click that, oh, seaweed spawns fish, and we need to find more seaweed. No wonder we wouldn't find anything in the shallow water. So we are diving deeper into the waters, but diving really far into the ocean, it makes it kind of hard to communicate with the Seer of the Tidepool. Not impossible, but harder, and really hard to communicate with the different creatures busy gathering up the nuts around the trees. So I think this is officially where we are going to start having a hard, clear cut between the two family lines. We're going to start having our meadow, like Meadow over here is pregnant, by the way. We're going to have our little meadow deer who also walk along the beaches and work as Seers of the Tidepools to try to kind of scry into the future or past and get hints at how they should take care of the tribe, perhaps as a whole. And then we're going to start working with our waterfall nest over here and really trying harder to develop the orca creatures that I really want, who will be great at deep underwater breathing, and they will be really good at fishing, and they'll be able to get into the deep waters and actually do something about it. So we're going to be working on that, and I am also going to be working on having our little defenders, who really are more going to be composed of the creatures that don't really fit either other group, but there are little defenders who are going to be exploring the northern part of the island. Over here, Sikora is a good example of that. Simi might start trying to explore a little bit. She could go down and work on cracking to help collect up some of the clams that show up, so that's something she might be able to help with too. But I want to get the Prickly Body out of our little orca waterway family. And then, of course, we cannot forget our amazing defenders down here. I'm very excited to see where Corey's children will end up going, because she is one of the strongest creatures in our group, and where Dado's children will end up growing. Dado actually is probably going to be the heiress for the Tidepool Seers, even though she doesn't have very good eyesight, because she does have the ability to do cracking, and she's a really good defender. She doesn't have the traditional antlers, but she does have the red coloring. So she may either work with Corey, and they may end up making just a whole bunch of defender children that they'll raise together as like really rough and tough sisters, though I don't think they're sisters. I think they're much more distantly related, but they're busy over here boxing and fighting around with the crabs. So they're having a good time testing out their fighting skills on crabs before they have to start defending the tribe. So they're going to be doing their own project. So we have deer, orcas, defense, exploratory creatures are mostly like creatures I don't plan on breeding. And finally, we have our little spit snouts. So we have our two spit snout born girls who are looking for Midnight. They're on the search for the rogue Midnight so that they can become pregnant with children from him and return to the Lost Peninsula, where they will hold this section and they will guard this section of the world until it is finally time to send the Jannu tribe across to the third and final island. And we will probably start having double episodes as my cold clears up and I can get my breath back a little bit faster, because we need to hurry and we need to get to the final island and we need to see how these stories unfold before the huge update hits. And we have nest building, and we have jungle abilities, and we have ancestral genes, and so much more coming to the game yet again. And as usual, I'm pretty sure once we get the update we won't be able to play with the Jannu tribe, so we're going to try to dig in and savor every second of their story while we still have them. So enough rambling, and let's go ahead. And do I have any pregnant ones on the nest? I sure don't. Let's step back and keep an eye on everybody. Whoa! Somebody died! What? What is that nonsense? Why did somebody die? And why is somebody hurt? What? You have a leech on you? Where? I don't see a leech on him. Uh-oh. He doesn't have a leech on him. He's okay. What do you mean, Bleach? No, I'm gonna lose Neuro, even though he's fine because he thinks he has a leech on him. Mirami, we're scooching you down, and I'm going to go ahead. Mito can't help her husband or her mate out at all because apparently he's dying even though he shouldn't be. She'll gather up some berries and step in. And then I guess I'll have him step over here, and he's very protective of his mate. No, I don't want to lose little Neuro. He's so sweet. What is going on with this branch of the family? All right, Neuro, where are you? I wish it was a little bit easier to sort through everybody so I could keep track of where everyone's going. Neuro is born from Sira and Kula, and I really did enjoy Kula. So, man, he had so many kids. You look just like your dad, Neuro. All right, so he's going to defend this little berry bush. We hear some rustling over here. Roduk-duk, get over here. Your brother just passed away for unknown reasons. I am gonna have to keep an eye on that. I think he had taken some damage and was just bleeding to death even though we had tried to heal him. And then Isla, I think, has received signs from above that she really wants to work on the cracking ability, being able to have everybody come and gather up clams. And see, Ravanta here can't do that. What is he good for? He would be a good mate for her, actually. Isla, I didn't realize you were double A immunity, but he may be a good mate for her. He does have antler secondary and normal eyes, which we really need to get in there. He doesn't have nimble fingers, so I think we're going to make sure we put nimble fingers into our, let's see, normal eyes, and let me grab nimble fingers, and let's see, yeah, that should be okay. But we're gonna, oh, I totally forgot we haven't worked with the beak in so long. I may have to, yeah, we should get our orca creatures really breeding that back in too. That's going to be exciting. Yeah, there's tons of genetics and I can't even imagine which ones are coming in the next update. That's going to be exciting. But Isla, let's have you move down here and collect up some of these. Rovanta, there's so many bunnies. He can at least impress her by gathering up those bunnies, and then we may have these two become a pair, and then we're going to try to have lots of babies that have special cracking skills and cracking abilities. And this crabbit just died of old age. Dado didn't even have to do anything. It just fainted right in front of her. And Corey is ready to really get out there. These two are both short-sighted. I can't believe that. But Corey and Dado are ready to get out there and start defending the nest. Can they move pretty far? Not really. They can't really move too far. They're not really that impressive on some of their skills, but we'll have these two kind of start moving together. They are our best defenders, and other than her eyesight, Dado does have some really useful skills. She does have cracking from double nimble fingers. She does have venomous fangs. She does have strength. So maybe we'll have her. Let's see. Is Ravanta? No, because Ravanta has F immunity. What about over here? That's also F immunity. And then I'm worried Neuro isn't going to live much longer. Oh, I'm running a little bit, teensy bit low on males. Neuro, you need to have more children like ASAP. I've only got 4 days left with him. I don't know if Dado, you hardly move. Dado, you two are so terrible. You can't see anything, can you? Lamela, can you please come over here and help them? All right, there we go. Now she can kind of move. Oh, that's so embarrassing. I hate short sight. Maybe that's going to be hard. I wonder if Dado and Corey may not end up having any children, surely because it's so difficult to work with short-sighted eyes. I really will be very happy when we get rid of short-sighted eyes entirely and we never have to worry about that again. All right, let's make sure we're looking for Midnight over here too. We're gonna have little Rasimi, who I kind of want to rename. She is the child of Mido, and then she's got Claw. She's quite, oh my gosh, Rasimi, you're so strong. You may actually be one of our future fighters, so I'm going to change her icons to show that she's a good fighter. She is venomous and she has strength. That is so nice. And she has fishing from her claw ability. She doesn't really have very high collecting, and she doesn't have cracking, unfortunately, but she's got healthy eyes. That's pretty good. And she's got F and A immunity. So let's see. What am I going to do with you, Rasimi? And she does move pretty far, so she may be a good defender as well, but it doesn't look like she would be very good. I think to be a Seer of the Tidepool applicant, you have to have two main things. You have to have the antlers, and, well, three main things, I should say. Ideally, you have the antlers, and you have a cracking ability, so you can gather up the clams. I think the Seers of the Tidepools probably gather up the clam shells, and that's how they kind of like, they open up the clam shells and interpret what the clams have inside of them too. And then I think Rasimi, she also would not really be considered because she has spots. And I know that seems silly, but their family is pretty big on, in this branch of the Jannu tribe, what is beautiful is usually considered the no patterned fur. So I think Rasimi, we'll have her go ahead and start exploring, even though she's a little young. And she can come over and be with Misiri, Isri, her aunt, like a very, very distant aunt, and they can start just doing some exploring together. I think that would work out. Oh, and there's a bunny. Get it, Kukima. There we go, a little bit of bunny meat. And then we have Anna, who's going to be able to step over here and gather up so many nuts. There's just so many nuts to collect from over there. Midnight! Oh my gosh, we finally found him. We finally found him. So the romancing Midnight has been our goal. Oh my gosh. They just stepped near him. He didn't even lift a paw. They both just stepped near him and they're suddenly pregnant. I can't believe that. So we have romanced Midnight. So there we go. And now, like, the Midnight Stranger, I suppose you could call him. And you know what? I'm kind of tempted. You know what we should do? Ah, dang it, we can't invite him in. I was going to invite him into the tribe so that he could go and live with them on their little spit of an island, but they can't do that, so we'll have to say goodbye to him. And let's see, Rasina can't harvest that clam, unfortunately, and we'll just send the girls back. Oh, look, there's a leech. I haven't seen the leeches just loose in the shallow water in so long, but we're gonna send the ladies back. They found Midnight and now they're expecting his babies. That's so exciting. We might get to see what the Midnight babies would look like now. Maybe they'll end up with like some sort of useful mutation. That would be kind of interesting. All right, so that took care of that side of the family. Let's continue to make use of whatever food resources we find and explore. And then Mimila, let's see, Mimila, what am I gonna do with you? Oh, she found a whole nother berry bush and she can't fish that clown koi. So annoying. But if I had like 2 or 3 fishers in the same stream area, they could probably corner the clown koi and actually make use of them as food. So I'm gonna have to remember that too. All right, and Simi, I mean, I guess Simi can go ahead and come on down, I think. As long as she's near creatures. Yay, nuclear, you can come down too. He's got very good strength and very good cracking. And then we've got Van Vanku, who has underwater breathing, but no fishing. And he's got decent collecting and attack. So, I mean, he can come down and he can try to attack these Kravets. They can work together on that. That actually might be better for Simi than sitting and just babysitting that bush as she's done all her life. So we'll have them move down. But I really want to start seeing... We may end up having, like... I may just get rid of the Prickle Body entirely by sending all of my Prickle Body creatures up north. And maybe they can end up settling up there and becoming prickly moles. We'll have to see. And then finally, down here, I have the interesting conundrum of, Leech! No, Kirnu, you're not supposed to get leeches. Holy days, there's so many fish. There's so many fish. Okay, we're gonna help him with that leech problem. And then I want these fish. Come on, come here, fish. Hold still. Why are they all getting away from me? How do I get to the fish before they swim off? Oh, there's so many fish in the deep sea. Okay, we're gonna have these two do a little bit. Oh, Reina, why are you gonna die? Just as I started to really figure this out. All right, I'm gonna have to salvage what I have left of my underwater breathing genes. Rakunu, who am I gonna have you mate with? There's not even a mate nearby that would possibly work. Other than Simi. Dang it. Nope. She's got the same... Nukirvan has different genes than Simi. Simi does have water breathing, though. And they would have a short-sighted child, though, which would be very frustrating. Darn. I'm really going to have to start perfecting some of these genes, but I need the underwater breathing skill to start spreading itself a little bit more if I'm going to make any good use of it. So yeah, this is tricky. Maybe and all of my underwater breathing guys are about to die, so I might end up losing my aquatic line, but that's okay. Sometimes stuff just happens. And there's Midnight again. So, whoops, sorry, threw ourselves into the grasses. So we'll have to see. I have to admit, this isn't really looking very positive when you're like, yes, ladies, now you're heavily expectant and you're going to a deserted little spot, like a deserted little lost peninsula with tons of skeletons and a cactus and no practical food sources. Good luck then. Good luck. I wonder if he's going to end up with that leech. I'm watching you, buddy. But let's try to get... Oh, there's a clam! So cool. Let's try to go ahead and get the ladies over to their nest so I can see what kind of child they have. And we've got another spotty baby over here named Laco. And I think I'm going to name her... Lalila instead, just for the sake of fun. And so she's a good collector, and she can help with collecting the clams, but she doesn't have antlers, and she has decent movement. Mirror Me. Oh, thank goodness, Mirror Me, you have underwater breathing. Maybe it won't die off after all. I'm just gonna have to be very discerning about how I use it. And I heard someone take damage, but I don't see where that happened, so I'm gonna have to keep my eyes out for that. All right, and then let's go ahead. I'm gonna move Isila right over here because that opens up the ground that Dado can see at, so that we can actually work on getting her all the way up here, which I actually need to do because, believe it or not, Dado, who I wish would be our heiress, has A and F immunity, or our stream heiress, but it doesn't look like she's the best one for it just yet. She does have that cracking. I like her as the Seer heiress, or at least like maybe the mother of the one who we pick in. Oh my gosh, Seri, who we pick is the heir because she has cracking ability and she has the red for her horns. But I think she'd have some really interesting children. And oh, look at that collecting. That would be really cool. And she has A and F immunity, and we have B and A on you. F and A on you. For some reason, Neuro, I thought you had better immunity than that. Ugh. So she shares immunity with either one, but he has normal eyesight. So I'm going to get Neuro down here, and then I'm going to have them mate. And that would keep the panda pattern alive pretty strong, wouldn't it? Just because I think they would have some very interesting and possibly very healthy children. All right, and then I'm going to get lots and lots of the grass cleared away. All right. Oh, and what's going on over here? No, it wasn't you who took any damage. It wasn't you who I wanted as her mate, was it? No, but I think her mom will be able to have an interesting child with you. So I'm going to let her go ahead and collect up that clam, breed with him, and then he can come over. Whoa! There's seaweed and underwater breathing ability here. This is the perfect Seer of the Tidepool area. No, he's gonna drown, Ravanta! You weren't supposed to be in deep, deep water. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. Eat that thing really quickly. But this is actually a perfect area for the Seer of the Tidepool then, because they can eat from this if they need to go into the water to like talk with the orca branch of the family, or maybe just like figure out what the Tidepool is trying to tell them. And Lamela, you aren't exactly what I was hoping for your mom. Can you make it to Neuro before you die? And then let me see if I can get Corey. Corey, your movement is so awful, but you're such a good defender. I think Corey is going to go north. All my prickly creatures, I'm just going to start sending north, and they're going to be in charge of just trying to create like a mole empire. And let me get Lamela up here. And I think Neuro will give me just enough life left to have a child with Lamela. So far, Isila, she's got plenty of life left. So she should be able to have a child. I am content could be the heiress of the tide pools pretty soon. All right, prickly guys. I'm about ready to send all of you guys up north. Let's see. I have cracking. I have fishing. I have collecting. I have attack. I have swimming. And I have prickly body on nuclear. And I'm sending a few creatures up to the north. And then we do have Kima, and he actually has good fishing tail. I wonder, he's got really good fishing, so I wonder if he would actually be a good mate for little Miriama when she becomes old enough, because she has underwater breathing. And if I can get that underwater breathing and that fishing together, then I can start having a better line of explorers over here. Speaking of which, fish... For crying out loud, these fish, if I move over here, all right, now I've chased the fish this way, and I've collected a few fish, and then I can swim. Wow, you can really go quite far. I can swim this way, and I can chase down some fish. There's so many fish, but I really need quite a few fishing creatures. Oh, it's almost like watching a real orca group work together where they surround the fish, isn't it? And then they kind of corral the fish into a school and they start eating from the school. That makes so much sense. I love that. It's going to be a little trickier to do, but I definitely think that is quite fun. And even if he can't do the fishing, maybe he can, yeah, look, he can help scare the fish back towards those who can do the fishing. Oh, that's so exciting. And then there's Nukirvan, who can't do anything because there's nothing to crack. Oh gosh. Yeah, maybe I will just start moving. You know what? How about up around the beach? I'm going to start moving my prickly creatures up around the beach. They can't even collect that many things. I just kind of want to reset this nest, the waterfall nest. I think that all of my prickle creatures are just starting to be drawn up north for some reason. They're not really entirely sure why. Little do they know it's because some odd commanding goddess in the sky named Seri is trying to develop a race of prickly moles. But that's why they're all being sent up there. So Sikora is heading up there. I think I'm going to have Kima. I'm going to have him... Little Mirami isn't old enough to start scooching that way yet, but we'll have her stay by her mom. And Kukima, you don't have underwater breathing. Mirami does, so I need to change her gym to blue. And I'll have him scoot this way. Any fish? And... okay, there's a fish. The koi fish. Yeah, we'll have him start scooting this way, and I think I'll restart more or less my underwater breathing creatures with Kukima and Mirami. And otherwise, let's start just walking along the beach with Simi and the others, because I don't think we're making very good progress when it comes to my prickles, my little prickly creatures. And I think that's a particular trait that I wouldn't really be that sad if we ended up breeding out. So I think we're going to have all of my prickly hedgehogs start working their way up and around to the north, and maybe even finding a nest up there. Alright, so that takes care of a couple huge branches of the family tree. I think Midnight is still rustling around in these grasses, and I do want to see what his children look like. But I can't move too far from the babies, so we're going to try to stay close to the babies. Mido is keeping a close eye on her little ones. And then we've got one of her eldest daughters can actually come over here and make sure, good, that her siblings are safe by doing some exploring. Alright, we'll do lots of exploring. And of course we have all the nuts to be able to collect now. Look at all those nuts. Oh, the tree offers so much. And Anna, we should have you have some babies. Yeah, she's got decent traits. I can't wait to get rid of the short-sighted eyes. Those plagued me a lot longer than I gave them credit for. And it looks like we have a leech and a crab battle. Oh my, I wonder how that's gonna end. All right, so let's go ahead and get Rasina starting to scooch on over with her sister Viveri. And it looks like we've got a very curious Midnight, excuse me, wondering where his ladies are going, but they will be able to make it to the nest, and they will be able to start establishing their own little family on the Lost Peninsula soon. I really hope I can get Rovanta out of the deep water, but I have to admit, this is the perfect tide pool of mystery, or the perfect tide pool of the Seers. It's got underwater bunnies and crabbits and lots of clams, and it has some seaweed and one of the little plants that they can actually snag a little bit of food from, so that they can snag the little underwater breathing fruit from. So I think this is going to really help them out with trying to like read into the future and the past. And I really love the idea of their coral colored antlers being decorated with all sorts of really cool seashells and other things that they use to sort of signify where they are in the tribe. Oh, and oh my gosh, have I just been ignoring you, Llama? I'm so sorry. She's just been sitting here unattended to all this time. I think I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, there's so many of them. She can't do any of that fishing. Llama, what have I been doing wasting you in the streams? I should have had her chase fish in the big ocean. Maybe. Oh boy. I think I'm gonna risk it. Oh, they're perfect. Look, Llama and Kukima can end up having babies together. And she's got cracking ability because of her jaw. Oh, beautiful, Llama, beautiful. I should have had you in the ocean this whole time. Oh, I'm so excited. Yep. All right. So we're starting to finally sort out some of the more tangled branches of the family genetics. We're doing a little bit of exploring. We have the babies with Midnight. And I'm very excited to see where the Seers of the Tide Pools are going to go next. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.